Neal Lester researches African American literature and culture and founded Project Humanities at Arizona State. His most recent book is Social Justice in Action: Models for Campus and Community. Neal, tell us about rethinking and redefining empathy.
Thank you. When George Floyd was murdered in May 2020 by the Minneapolis police, I and so many others were stunned and horrified that we had witnessed, thankfully, through a young black girl's video phone, a black man's suffocation. We watched that for 9 minutes and 29 seconds. The scene was traumatic for so many of us on so many levels. And what's interesting about it is that I thought, and many others thought, that this would be a kind of global racial reckoning, especially for those who are practitioners of racial justice and social justice. Meanwhile, as we're in the pandemic and locked in and down, I was still trying to process what I had witnessed. That felt like it was a firsthand account. And as I'm walking, doing my morning walk, I walk on a busy street. A car stopped as I was walking, and this colleague friend came over, now in traffic, and just gave me a big hug right there that morning. And I was actually quite stunned because I wasn't expecting that, nor had I asked for it. But as she hugged me, she kept saying, "I'm so sorry. I just don't know what it's like to be a black man, but I'm just so sorry." And then, without sort of skipping a beat, she immediately started lamenting the looting and the burning down of buildings in response to the lynching of George Floyd, saying that she knew little white women back in Minneapolis who were afraid that their businesses were going to be destroyed. That moment was pretty traumatic for me as I'm trying to process. But the fact that she presumably thought that she was giving me something that I needed made me rethink what I thought about empathy. What I saw, that she wasn't really focused on me, but on herself, her friends, and the shock of the looting and the property destruction. I started to think more deeply about what we know and witness as the global empathy gap. My assertion is that humans have been getting it wrong. And even Atticus from To Kill a Mockingbird, when he gives that advice to Scout about getting in someone else's skin, that's absolutely wrong. It's an impossibility. So my piece tries to argue that we've been getting it wrong because that's how we've been taught. That empathy is really not about getting in someone's skin. It's not about trying to see the world through the eyes of other people. It's really about being with people and not shifting our responses and observations to our own selves. So these futile exercises of, oh, my dog died, I don't have a dog, or your dog died. I don't have a dog, but I have a fish. So imagine if your fish died. And I'm saying, let's stop that. Let's stop that. In fact, I'm saying, let's rethink it and then let's redo it and see if we can come together. I also recognize that this is actually for people who are not in that space of, I don't really care. And that's also a part of acknowledging in my piece is there's some people who just don't care. But the piece is directed toward those who think we're doing it and not quite getting it right. And in my piece, I offer three specific examples of what it can look like and not be that sort of performative, disconnected exercise.
Thank you.
In that speech of Dr. King's 1968, The Other America, which nobody reads or very few read, he says something about large segments of society are satisfied with tranquility and the status quo. And in order to move toward humanity and justice, we need to be disruptive. Project Humanities and Public Humanities are indeed disruptive. And I want us to continue, both individually and collectively, to be those good troublemakers.